Welcome back all. This week's preview of the Queensland Derby is part 2 of our Stradbroke Handicap preview. Rick's back with me. We're going to check out the 3-year-old features and see if we can find some winners. Rick, the Derby, how's this one going to play out?
Oh my goodness, it's the hardest Derby field I've ever seen. History will tell you that you do well in the rough habit and you do well in the Grand Prix, then you'll do well in the Derby. So in that case, you have to look at horses like Eagle Way and, of course, McIntosh, who won both those races. And we look at Hawkspur and Brambles won both those races as lead-ups, and they won their Derbies comfortably too. So McIntosh, hard to beat. Couldn't miss Eagle Way's run. Fantastic effort. Then you've got the two that went well in South Australia. Howard Be Thy Name, who's in tremendous form and etymology, who was on at 20-1 and just got nutted. So hard to beat, but I'm going past all of them. I think one who hasn't followed those form lines and who hasn't raced in Queensland will get the job done, and that's in Costa Line. I think he might be something a little bit special over a trip, and he's going to come into his own. Just seems to not get tired. He'll be close enough to be able to utilise his brilliant sprinting burst, and it might do the job here. So I'm going to go for Costa Line. Would not be at all surprised if Chris Waller trifectas the race. McIntosh will be up on the speed and be there the whole way. Rodrigo's in tremendous form. But I'll stick my neck out and say Costa Line wins from McIntosh and Howard Be Thy Name just in front of Eagle Way.
Yeah, well, that 4-length win last start was pretty impressive, Rick. So Waller sends him up there. Huey jumps on board. So that's a tick-tick. He's got to be thereabouts for sure. Perfectly
drawn too.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple of the others, Rick. So that lead-up race, the Grand Prix Stakes, won by McIntosh narrowly. Howard Be Thy Name should have beaten him in that race. As he went to try and pass him, he ducked back to the inside, and McIntosh rolled back to the fence, which cut him off. He had to check around heels, come to the outside, and then ran him to a neck. So I think if Royal had gone straight to the outside, he beats McIntosh, and then would be even shorter here. But you know, the thing I really like about Howard Be Thy Name, Rick, is he was set for the South Australian Derby. How he ran so well in that, obviously won. So Darren decided to go to Brisbane. So Darren would have backed right off of him from that run. So he would have gone to Brisbane without a lot of work going into him. So I think he would have been slightly underdone last start. That would have topped him off. He would have had a nice bit of work during the week, and I think he'll improve by a couple of lengths on Saturday. So I really like Howard Be Thy Name. And my major query, as you pointed out, is that Sydney form coming up. So, but out of the Brisbane brigade, I think Howard Be Thy Name gets the job done.
Yeah, I'm not overly sure the Sydney form is great, although Costa Line did beat Romantic Maid comfortably. It was the manner, and I always look at the manner that they do it. And there's pedigree lines through this horse in Costa Lines on the dam side that suggest he'll run all day, and that was borne out in that race last start. So be a good race. I'm not going to bet heavily because I'm not overly confident with my analysis based on a couple of things. And you touched on too, Howard Be Thy Name, how fit will he be and how good is he? I was a little bit disappointed with his finishing first last start, to be honest. And he might just be real good, McIntosh. He might just be one of those tough grinding horses that just stays right there and won't let you go past him. But yeah, it'll be a good race. It'll certainly be a great race. Often is, but horses never kick on from this race, so that's a bit of a worry. But anyway, looking forward to having a little bit in it.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not too bothered about the way he finished off last time because, you know, like horses dropping back from 2,500 to 22, it's not the easiest transition, Rick, and you know, that you'd expect them to be a bit short over the shorter trip. So I think stepping back up in trip, peak fitness, he should be right there. And, you know, Darren Weir's just in such great form. Anything he touches seems to turn to gold. So I'm happy to be with Weary.
Punter's pal.
Absolutely.
Have a beer on Darren Weir. Isn't it? Rick McIntosh made that famous?
That's the one. Okay, well, with the Derby covered. What about, I know we covered the Phillies event, the Oaks, last week before it was cancelled. Rick, anything changed with the track conditions for you?
No, obviously everything's the same in terms of the setup, and I can't see my tip changing. I'm on Dawny Perfect. I think she's peaking perfectly for this. I'm not at all concerned by the 22 barrier. She'll just drop straight out. Of course, she won't come from there. She'll come from about 17 now. But no, I'm still on Dawny Perfect. In fact, if anything, I've firmed up. I had even more on her during the week. And she'll flash home and win from Romantic Maid. And probably Khabib third.
Yeah, well, you know that I would have been a lot more confident with my selection, Falkenberg, if there was a bit of wet around Rick, being a full sister to Sebring. But like you, I'm not going to change my mind, and I'm going to stick with Falkenberg.
A great story if Khabib wins, and I love great stories. Matthew Dunn, he was, a few years ago, I was reading somewhere recently where he was virtually unemployed, and he was running his electricity at night time into the out the window, putting an extension cord on and putting it into a neighbouring electricity jack at a pool just to get electricity. He had no money, he couldn't pay for his electricity bills, and now here he is a few years later, drives a Mercedes-Benz, and he's on the cusp of winning his first Group 1. So that'd be interesting, but as opposed to Clary Connors, who trains Dawny Perfect, and of course the Snowdens, who train Falkenberg, who won a stack of Group 1. So it's a great level of this racing game.
Yeah, it is. Everyone loves that fairy tale story, Rick. And, we've already touched on the JJ Atkins, but fairy tale story for mine would be Bobby Alyssa could get up in the JJ Atkins on that Dreams of Plenty. It was went close to winning last start and drawn awkwardly. It's probably going to set the pace here. And, it's not one of my top picks, but it'd be great to see Alyssa get a Group 1 win.
It's really good that you touched on Bobby Alyssa too there, because you've got superstar riders like Huey Bowman, Damien Oliver, Blake Chin, and Joe Moreira and Zach Purton all riding. And I love this set of Group 1s because you've also got some really good provincial class jockeys in New South Wales, for example, like Aaron Bullock's having, I think, his first Group 1 ride. And you've got Adam Hieronymus, who's having a Group 1 ride in the Derby on front runner Colonel Custer. And I love the fact that Mitch Bell is back on Art Lee in the Stradbroke. Almost want to give it a big push along because he got sacked off that when it resumed from a spell in Sydney, and now he's back on. So those country and bush riders getting rides in Group 1 races adds to the whole sort of mystique and brigadoonness of Group 1 racing, and I just love that.
Yeah, I think so as well, Rick. And if one of our tips is to get beaten, it'd be nice to see one of these, these good stories come along, and so we've got something to write about following the race.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Good luck to everybody.
Yes, that's it. That's the 3-year-old staying features covered. So hopefully we've found the winner and can fill our pockets on Saturday.
Yeah, wouldn't that be good? And of course, Cronulla again on big match on Monday night. So yeah, going to be a big weekend coming up.
Yep, absolutely. Best of luck to you on Saturday, Rick. Best of luck to everyone watching, and hope everyone can back a winner.
Yeah, you too. And it looks like 4 Group 1s and we didn't agree on one.
No, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
All right, until next week, everyone.
Safe punting. Good punting. Remember